Welcome to Owl Books Part 6 of the book Mini Habits, 8 Small Steps to Big Change. If you don't execute your ideas, they die. Roger Von Eck. The real fun begins now. This is the step-by-step application guide to choose and implement your own mini habits. I recommend that you get a pad and pen now to go through these and write down your plans and strategy. Step 1. Choose your mini habits and habit plan. Make a quick list of habits you'd like to have at some point. The important ones will come to mind quickly. This will be your reference list for Step 1. Visit minihabits.com for ideas. Note, habit ideas from minihabits.com are already in minified form. You can write down these mini habits now as long as you know the larger habit it represents. One push-up could stand for general fitness or for a larger push-up goal of 100 push-ups daily. Otherwise, write down full-size habits for now. It's tough to pursue one habit when you have a few more habits you're anxious to create. It takes a lot of discipline to ignore everything else for a few months in order to solidly develop one habit. It's worth the sacrifice to build one habit that can last a lifetime, but it remains a challenge. Good news, everyone! As I've alluded to already, you can build multiple mini habits at once. This is due to their small willpower cost and flexibility. Their size will vary, though, both in initial difficulty and how much extra you're likely to do. I have written far more bonus words than I've read bonus pages. Writing is a priority for me, so it's naturally where I put in the most effort. That said, I also read much more than I previously did, and on some days, I read much more than I write. You're going to love this flexibility, because it allows for parties, traveling, and other schedule aberrations. Lately, I have been pursuing 3 mini habits with great success. It's 4 if you count exercise, but that's already a habit. I go to the gym 3x a week. I still track it weekly, but it is no longer a willpower challenge. My brain is more likely to encourage exercise than resist it now. I would not recommend that you pursue any more than 4 mini habits at a time, and 4 might be too much. While these habits are individually easy to accomplish, the larger the quantity, the more your focus will be divided amongst them and the more likely you'll neglect or forget one of them. Not only that, but imagine having to meet 100 tiny requirements every day. Yikes! There is a willpower cost for having to do a certain number of things every day. 2 or 3 mini habits will be the sweet spot for many people. Here are the habit plans to choose from. 1 week flexible plan. Recommended. In this plan, you start with one habit and use the mini habit system for 1 week. Then you evaluate and choose a long-term plan. Evaluation at 1 week. Do you feel burnout? Do you find yourself easily surpassing your requirement every day? Are you crushing it and craving more good habits? Depending on how challenging it is for you, you can stay with one or add more. Since not all habits are of equal difficulty, defining a set number that works for everyone isn't possible or wise. Also keep in mind that the more mini habits you have, the less likely you are to overachieve in them. Finally, consider what your most difficult day would be like. Maybe you're driving all day on the road or preparing for a big party. Can you complete your mini habits then? Don't imagine the easiest days, imagine the hardest days. If you can do something on the day you're tired, stressed, and very busy, you can do it every day. Now, if you feel like your willpower can handle an extra mini habit or 2, add it. Notice that I didn't mention your schedule, because your mini habits should take you less than 10 minutes combined to complete if you don't decide to do extra. Everyone has 10 minutes to spare for something important. The 1 week flexible plan is recommended for people who want to try the mini habits system, but aren't sure yet what's best for them. This plan will automatically turn into one of the other plans. Warning, it's important to mark the 1 week mark on your calendar to make a firm decision that day about your future plans. Don't allow a gap. The single mini plan. Do you want to write consistently more than anything? Do you really want to get serious about your fitness? Do you want to dedicate yourself to daily reading? This single mini plan places all of your focus on one habit. It comes with a very high success rate. I started off doing this with the 1 push-up challenge, in which I was required to do at least 1 push-up every day. If your willpower is as weak as mine was, or if you're depressed, 1 might be all you can handle. You've got to start somewhere. This is recommended for people who have a single goal that dwarfs the others in importance right now. It's also a good option for those with very weak self-control to help them improve it. Remember, you can always add more mini habits, but it's more painful to have to drop one. Multiple mini plan. This is my current strategy and the most advanced one, but that doesn't mean it's too difficult for a beginner to have success with. I have 3 mini habits, but you'll see that 2 of them are practically the same thing. I write at least 50 words for anything, write at least 50 words toward a book, and read at least 2 pages of a book every day. This is in addition to my now regular-sized habit of working out at the gym 3 times a week, which evolved from the 1 push-up challenge. Even with 3 distinct daily goals, I can complete my entire list easily in less than 10 minutes if needed, and never fail. If you really want to try 4 or more mini habits at once starting out, be my guest. It could work, but I don't want it to spoil this great system for you if it's too much for you to consistently complete. While each mini habit is super small, it takes some willpower and discipline to do them all every day. And mini habits aims for 100% success, not 95%. If you fail at just 1 mini habit, you won't have the feeling of total success, which is important for maintaining high self-efficacy. Your ideal quantity of mini habits is largely determined by how difficult each one is for you. Drinking water is easier for most people than a fitness habit, even when minified. Habits that involve having to drive somewhere are a significantly more difficult option, especially because it depends on availability, location, etc. Mine are easy because I can bring my laptop with me everywhere. Previously, I'd think, I guess I can't write because I'm going on vacation for 2 days. Not anymore. Now I can be productive on vacation too. I know what you're thinking, but I can just meet the minimum if I want to relax instead. The multiple mini plan is recommended for people who have several good habits they're eager to develop or would feel unsatisfied to only develop one at a time. If you're not sure which plan is best for you, choose the flexible plan and pick one habit for now that you'd most like to form. Don't be afraid to name the full amount of what you want in this step, e.g. exercising 5x a week consistently. At this point, you should have a habit plan, and full-sized habits to pursue. They may be related to fitness, writing, reading, drinking water, habitual gratefulness, meditating, programming, etc. Now we're going to minify them. Make your habits stupid small. The reason we tend to resist giving ourselves small steps has to do with societal norms, a habit of thinking bigger, and pride. I can do 20 push-ups easily, a person will think, so there's no need to say I'll do just 1. But this thinking only takes into account one type of strength: physical. Every possible action, such as 20 push-ups, has a willpower requirement attached to it. If you're motivated, full of energy, and in shape, 20 push-ups might not cost you much willpower. But when you're a little bit tired already and not feeling up to it, not only will you have less willpower, but the activity will cost more of it. A mistake people make when setting goals is not taking into account that their motivation and energy levels are going to fluctuate dramatically. They'll assume that their current state of mind and energy can be preserved or reactivated when the time comes to act. What ensues is a losing struggle against a brain that doesn't want to change in that way. But this time, we're going to trick our brain and win the willpower game. My rule of thumb is to minify my desired habit until it sounds stupid. When something sounds stupid small, your brain sees it as non-threatening. These are examples that sound stupid small to most people: 1 push-up a day. You're joking. Get rid of 1 possession every day. Worthless. Write 50 words a day. You'll never publish anything. A skill you'll pick up as you practice mini habits is finding creative ways to make your actions smaller and smaller if you feel resistance. If you're resisting your single push-up today, say you have to get in push-up position, or easier, that you have to lie on your stomach on the floor. If your mini habit is to drink 1 glass of water every day, you can make it smaller by deciding to fill a glass with water, or one step further, pick up a glass. If your mini habit is writing 50 words a day and you're resisting, open up your word processor and write 1 word. You won't need to do this most of the time as your mini habits are already stupid small, but remember you have this in your arsenal for times of extreme resistance. Too small does not exist in regards to mini habits. If you're unsure, go with the smaller option. For ideas of mini habits to implement, visit minihabits.com. This is the key of the mini habits system. You're going to repeat this too small to fail action every day. Just as important as making your mini habit small is making your thoughts small too. You must embrace this mini requirement as if it is a full goal. This means if you meet the tiny requirement, you're successful for the day. If you can do that, you will get the big results you desire. What to do with weekly mini habits? I can understand that some things aren't suitable for a daily plan. Exercise is something that many people will want to do 3 to 5 times a week. Who would want to drive to the gym 7 days a week if they're only working out 3 days a week? Weekly habits will take longer to form into habit, but they are consistent enough for the brain to recognize as a pattern. So if you really want to set a weekly mini habit, try it and see how it works for you. We can do something creative with weekly habits, however, to transform them into a daily requirement. If you want to drive to the gym weekly, as an example, you can set a hybrid mini habit. A hybrid mini habit is when you give yourself a choice between 2 options, do A or B. I'm not overly fond of hybrid mini habits because they add to the willpower cost. Making decisions also uses willpower, but they are the best option in some cases. And I like that they have you do something every day. Hybrid mini habit examples: drive to the gym or dance for the duration of 1 song, drive to the gym or do 1 push-up, drive to the gym or jog for 1 minute. With this example, on off days, you have a replacement activity. Won't people just choose the easy one every day? First, I think you might be surprised at what you'll do without any additional requirements. Granting yourself freedom in a smart way is very empowering. And you want to be fit, right? Second, the mini habit here is just to drive to the gym. If you want to, you can simply drive back home. It sounds crazy, but I must stress the importance of giving yourself a way out of a big, overwhelming 45-minute workout. Your subconscious brain is smart enough to know when a goal on paper isn't your real goal. And it's when we force ourselves into an intimidating commitment that our slow-changing brain rebels. For a hybrid plans, I recommend starting with no strings attached. Just see how often you decide to go to the gym. If you never seem to choose the gym, then you can start by requiring 1 gym day per week. Later, you can scale up to 2 days required per week. Take your time with this though. Don't be in a rush to change, because your brain can't and won't change quickly. It will take time anyway, so easing yourself into it is the most logical method. Alright, now check over your list. Do you have a mini habit plan? Did you choose flexible, single, or multiple? Are your mini habits stupid small? Say them out loud. If you laugh, they pass. Is everything written down on paper? Scrap paper is fine. If so, great. On to step 2. Step 2. Use the why drill on each mini habit. Everyone prefers to be healthy, but not everyone is willing to put in the work required to be optimally healthy. There are benefits of eating fast food and watching movies all day too. If your problem has been that you want to do things, but struggle to do them, then you have the right book. The best way to know if the habits are worth the effort starts by identifying the source. The best habit ideas are sourced straight from your life values. We're not looking for ideas that come from peer pressure and others' expectations for you. If you try to change based on another person or society's opinion, I think you know what will happen, but I'll say it anyway: massive internal resistance. Using the why drill to get to the source drills drill. That's what they do. And I call the following the why drill, because the simple question, why, is the best way to drill down to the core of anything. Once you've listed your habits, identify why you want them. But don't stop there. Ask why again. Continue to ask why until it becomes circular and repetitive, which means that you've found the core. Honest answers are absolutely necessary for this to work, so dig deep. There will be more than one answer to these questions, so try to pick the most relevant ones. Here are 2 real and honest examples of mine. One is a great choice to make habit and the other is highly questionable. I want to write every day. Why? Because writing is my passion. Why? Because it's my favorite way to express myself and tell stories. I can connect with and help people through writing, and I enjoy the process. Why does that matter? Those things make me feel alive and happy. Why? Because writing is clearly something I value and treasure in life. Next example, I want to get up at 6 a.m. daily. Why? Because it's what successful people seem to do, and it's embarrassing to get up later. Why? Because I have the sense that society in general and certain people I know look down on me for staying up and waking up later. In the second example, you can see that the main reason for change is external pressure. That said, getting up at 6 a.m. could still make me happier. Because of the preconceived notions I have about waking up late and early, it makes me feel more successful and decreases my general sense of guilt when I get up earlier. So it's not a throwaway, but when pitted against something like writing, and I'm writing very late at night right now, I'm not going to give it precedence. By staying up late to write, I'm being true to my inner values, even though the world might not agree with it. It's okay if the world doesn't agree with you. Don't get bullied into a lifestyle that doesn't suit you. Step 3. Define your habit cues. The 2 common habit cues are time-based and activity-based. In a time-based cue, you'll say, I'm going to exercise MWF at 3 p.m. In an activity-based cue, you'll say, I'm going to exercise MWF 30 minutes after I take my last bite at lunch. People with 9-to-5 jobs have very structured schedules, so time-based cues tend to work well for them. Those who have a lot of flexibility in their schedule might benefit more from an activity-based cue that lets them keep a solid, yet flexible schedule. Which cue you'll use depends on your desired lifestyle. Time-based schedules are rigid with little ambiguity, e.g. you start at 4 p.m. sharp. This helps you to get work done and build discipline. The downside is lack of flexibility. Maybe you'll get a headache at 4 p.m. when you're supposed to do something active. Life has a way of throwing off our schedules. And when you miss a cue and do the task late, you'll hit that awkward stage where you don't know whether to feel successful or guilty. Activity-based are more flexible with a bit more ambiguity. They help you build structure into a typically structure-less life. The tricky part is in knowing precisely when one activity ends and the other begins. If I am to start writing something after lunch at a restaurant, do I get to settle in and check the mail before I start writing? Must I go straight to the computer? You may think that doesn't matter, but it does, because as the power of many habits show us, little tasks can easily extend into bigger tasks. Suddenly you'll find yourself organizing your entire desk and remember, oh yeah, I was supposed to be writing. Small steps get us started and allow us to build momentum towards a meaningful goal, but it works the other way too. If you allow yourself small concessions, soon enough you'll find them growing against your will. The question of time-based or activity-based cues isn't all that important. They can both work just fine. What is important is that you choose, and choose firmly. Not making a decision here is a big mistake, but before you lock down your choice, there is one more option that might surprise you. It is my preferred choice for all of my current mini habits. Freedom-based, non-specific habit cues, general mini habits. Traditional habit books will tell you about the cue behavior reward structure of habits from studies, and then proceed to tell you the obvious next step: pick your cue, behavior, and reward. But what if you want to do something like think more positively in general? What if you want to do something at varying times? Mini habits open up a new realm of possibility here. The following is especially relevant for flexible schedules and general habits like gratefulness. Many habits are rooted in autonomy, freedom, and flexibility. The goal is to empower you to have constant success. We can apply this philosophy to restrictive habit cues by instead setting a 24-hour deadline with no specific cues. Have you noticed that bad habits have multiple cues, while everyone suggests that a good habit should have one cue? It's no wonder bad habits are so strong. They have sprawling roots tied to many different cues in your life. That's because bad habits grow naturally through repetition in various circumstances, while we grow good habits artificially with the single cue behavior reward formula. It's true that if you only have a single cue, you will still be more mindful of that behavior. For example, if you think 2 happy thoughts at 2 p.m. every day, then you'll probably think them more in general too. But doing it at 2 p.m. every day can feel restrictive and forced depending on your personality. In addition, when you set a specific time to do something, it can feel wrong to do it outside of that time. For people who have a morning habit of writing, many of them won't ever write at other times of the day. I write at any and all times of day, whatever fits my schedule best. Another problem with specific cues is their additional load on your willpower. When you have to run at some point today, that's flexible. When you have to run at 3 p.m., that's inflexible. The additional pressure to perform the task on time increases willpower cost. Traditional habits suggest you pair this time-sensitive cue with a big task, making it even more difficult for you to succeed. But for us, the total willpower required even for cue-triggered actions will still be small because of the mini size of the action. Therefore, mini habits are a better fit into the current popular model of cue behavior reward than traditionally sized habits are. Note, I'm not saying that non-specific cues are always better, they're better for some people and some habits. Each habit should be decided on individually. A general habit is a habit with more than one cue for action. Most of us already have general habits of eating, entertaining ourselves, mindlessly browsing the internet, and so on. Due to the staggering number of cues we experience every day, there's something appealing about not choosing just one cue for a good habit. The rigidity of having only one cue can hamper social opportunities and spontaneity. But with the dominant habit theories, having one cue is the only viable way to make something a habit. Having multiple cues would require too much willpower, and each cue would need to develop individually, drawing out the process of becoming habit. That's why mini habits are a game changer. A general mini habit requires you to do your little requirement once per day, at your leisure. I don't recommend midnight as the deadline, as this is also inflexible. I recommend that going to sleep for the night signifies the end of your day. This gives you the greatest chance to succeed because you can squeeze in your mini habits at the last second. I realize how bad that sounds, but it serves an important purpose in the early stages of mini habits, nurturing your feeling of constant success, which builds your self-efficacy. I did the 1 push-up challenge for a few months. One of my embarrassingly common cues early on was right before bed, the deadline. This is an indicator of poor discipline because I failed to fit the habit into my schedule during the day. But, instead of going to sleep disappointed, I still went to sleep with a win, and usually, I'd get in some bonus reps too. When you go to sleep feeling like a winner, especially if you do it for many days in a row, it creates an internal desire to improve even more. You've heard that success begets success, right? It's true. Successful people work harder than depressed people because they're already successful. Success ignites passion and action. This is what mini habits will do for you too. You'll feel successful, which will make you want to succeed more and more. I say this not just as the author of this book and the mind behind this system, but as its first guinea pig. I've tried a lot of other systems, and my mini habits results crush anything else I've tried. Back to the 1 push-up story, after a while of stealing wins at the buzzer, I wanted to do better. I began to get my push-ups in earlier. The timing still varied, different cues. This is why it's okay to meet the minimum just before bed. It encourages you to build your own self-discipline. True self-discipline is not when you have someone ordering you to do push-ups, it's when you decide on your own to do them. It's self discipline. Despite my great success in reading, writing, and exercising consistently, it was weird, because I felt like a fraud. I didn't have habit cues. All of the popular habit books talk about them. The science said they were essential. All I had were daily requirements and a weekly exercise quota. This is supposed to be how people fail their habits, and yet I'm having wild success. Why? The first thing I realized is that these studies test big, willpower-guzzling goals like going out for a morning run at 6 a.m., doing 100 push-ups daily, or sticking with a workout program. Many habits, I realized, are so different that some of these rules change. Many habits are too small to fail, even without a cue. You'll always have the ability to fit in your habit right before bedtime. Many habits generally take about 1 minute each to do. And this nightly habit check will become a habit too, which is wonderful because it keeps you mindful of your life. Did I meet my easy requirements today? Yes. Excellent. Sleep. So what happens when you have a habit too small to fail? That's without cues. The development of multiple habit cues. And this is really exciting. While I love morning routines in particular and may choose to develop one, it's been great to have a general habit of writing. Writing for me resembles the structure of a bad habit. I'm sure I have specific cues. One cue I've noticed is after I eat something, but because I have multiple cues, it seems like I just do it randomly. But wait just a second, if it can take months to form even one habit with a single cue, it must take years to create multiple cues. No. Many habits are minuscule and easy, and remember the study earlier on habit formation length. It concluded that the difficulty of a behavior is a primary determinant of how long it takes to make it into a habit. 34 This means that many habits can become habitual much faster than traditional habits can. The caveat, of course, is that when your goal is 50 words and you write 2,000 each day, it might take longer to make 2,000 words a habit. But if you're crushing it to that degree, that's a great problem to have, right? And yes, if you don't have one specific cue, your brain will take longer to make it habit. So if you've got 10 habits you want to add to your life and are going for speed, it will be faster to set single specific cues for your mini habits. On the other hand, if you want to flexibly weave something into your identity and schedule like I have with writing, then make it a general mini habit. A recap of cue options. General mini habits are done once per day. Time-cued mini habits are done at 3 p.m., 9:45 p.m., etc. Activity-cued mini habits are done after lunch, before work, while driving, after using the restroom, etc. A few more details on my general mini habits. Experience. Some people do their writing in the morning. I write at all times of the day. Writing has become a lifestyle habit for me. You know what happens to me now? I'll be watching a TV show and get the urge to write, a great, weird thing. But when I'm watching something with other people, I don't get this urge, because it's a different scenario. I react dynamically and naturally to situations. When a friend was over for a couple of days, I didn't write as much, and that's exactly how I want to live. If that became a recurring issue that was making me unproductive, I could adjust. As you can see, this has some positive implications for fixing bad habits as well. Wild, bad habits grow unintentionally, and grow everywhere. You'll have 98 cues to smoke a cigarette, 53 cues to watch YouTube videos, and 194 cues to browse the internet mindlessly. It's possible to let your good mini habits grow wildly like this. Like plants competing for nutrients, your good habits can then crowd out your bad habits. You can see that writing now competes with watching TV shows for me. This is less likely with specific cue habits, as they're tethered to just one cue. They can be very strong, don't get me wrong, but unless it shares a cue with a bad habit, it will be isolated from it. A word of caution: you want to be deliberate about what habits you let grow wildly. For example, some people can't relax now because they are workaholics. The work habit gets so ingrained into their identity that retirement confuses and bores them. They want to work. I've decided that I want to write and write a lot for the rest of my life, so I'm willing to let my writing habit mesh into my identity, same for reading and exercise. But I'm not sure I'd like the same type of habit for bathing, once a day is fine. For that, I prefer a cute habit like showering once I get out of bed. Sleep schedules and meals might also be best structured so as to let the body get into a circadian and dietary rhythm, respectively. If you want something to become an encompassing part of your life, good examples include thinking positive thoughts, writing, being thankful, exercising, being active, giving to others, minimalist living, etc. I recommend setting no specific cue for your mini habit. Only give yourself a daily deadline of doing it before you sleep for the night. If you want a behavior to have a specific, carved-out place in your life, set a specific cue for it. Some examples include exercising on specific days, reading before bed, and writing in the morning. Some people like to have their lives very structured, so they might choose only specific cues. It's all up to preference. You can even choose a combination of wild and cute habits. Decision-making in the moment, especially if you're choosing general mini habits, understanding the decision-making process will help you to do them when necessary. We have two states of mind when making a decision. First, we weigh our options, which is called the deliberative mindset. Then we commit to act, which is called the implemental mindset. 35 The goal is to move to the implemental frame of mind, instead of getting stuck in the deliberative frame of mind. One advantage of cues is they cut out the deliberative process and help you get more quickly to an implemental state of mind. This is highly appealing. Cues are the key factor in what's known as implementation intentions, which are predetermined decisions of exactly when and how you'll do something. Implementation intentions are known to improve goal success. A mini habit with a cue has an even greater chance of success because it does not require much commitment. It's so small that it's a no-brainer. Mini habits can work without cues too, though their minuscule size is what elevates them above competing behaviors. So while you'd need to go through the deliberative process without having a cue, you should not get stuck when trying to decide whether or not to do one push-up or write 50 words. It's too easy to think too hard about it. If you ever find yourself stalling, remind yourself how small your task is. Now, write down your selected cues for each mini habit. I like to keep all of mine under the once per day at any time umbrella. This keeps things simple. Thank you for watching. If you like audiobooks, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon.